What is going on, everybody? It's your boy John, and welcome back to Gearbox. So today is a work day. Just got a damn good workout in, if I do say so myself, at lunch, and now it's time to film another video for this wonderful channel and for all of you lovely people. Now, the topic of discussion today is going to be underrated mods, or I guess not really underrated, but a little bit of these mods goes a long way for the Mk5 Toyota Supra. Take it as you wish, but really to preface this whole conversation, I think we'd all agree that when the concept car for the Supra came out, however many years ago now, it had a much more aggressive styling. It was probably more on par with what people expected the comeback of the Supra to be. And not to hate on what actually came out of Toyota, love this car to death, but there are definitely some categories that could have been improved on from factory, and so that's kind of the gist of the mods that we're about to list here today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So for starters, I think the mod that I'm about to name goes a long way for pretty much any platform known to man, maybe outside of like supercars, but either way, we are talking wheels and tires. Now, you're probably all thinking, at least initially, this comment comes from just the idea of having a better wheel design, and yes, that is true in my opinion, but really the overall concept of this car being a true sports car, having some more functionality behind the wheels and tires is a big one. Number one, changing the offset is always a positive thing. Filling out that wheel well a little bit more, widening the overall footprint and kind of stance of the car obviously is, an aesthetic thing, but also a performance thing. But number two, and really the biggest reason why I put this on the list, was getting wider tires. This car from factory comes with 245s up front, 265s in the rear. I opted to go for a 265 in the front and a 295 in the rear, but I know people that have gone even larger in the rear, 305s, 315s even. But really that additional tread width does wonders for your ability to drive this car the way it's supposed to be driven. And trust me, I promise you, you do not have to go find out for yourself, although if you want to, go knock yourself out. But the stock tires on this car just don't cut it for the performance that the car has from factory. So number one on this list, once again, both from a performance perspective as well as aesthetically, wheels and tires. Trust me, it's just the best first mod to do, and it goes a long way on this platform. For the second entry on this list, I would argue this was the biggest letdown from the concept car to the actual production of the Mk5 Supra, and that is aero bits. Whether we're talking front lips, side skirts, lip spoilers, diffusers, spats, whatever, a little bit goes a very long way on this car. Now, if you are new to this channel or maybe don't recall all that I have done from a aero perspective on the Mk5, I currently have a front lip that I like, don't love, probably gonna change it at some point. I have side skirts and I have a carbon fiber lip spoiler. That is it. And in my opinion, that is legitimately all that you need. I feel like you could even go without the side skirts, other than the fact that the side skirts help tie all of the carbon fiber together. But when you look at the original concept car, it was so much more aggressive. It had a little wing on the back, nothing crazy like an STI or anything, but enough of a wing to say, oh yeah, that's a true sports car. That's meant to be on track or whatever. And when you get into /see a bone stock Mk5, it's just a little bit underwhelming. Really, in a lot of ways, if you don't know anything about cars, I'm sure some people might get a OEM stock Mk5 Supra confused with like a an 86 or something, which is just not what we're going for when you're spending the extra money for the good old Toyota Supra. So being able to, you know, bring out more of the body lines in this car and really give it more of that road presence than just your standard road going vehicles, at least in my opinion, is very important and can be done pretty easily and fairly cheap relative to the standard cost of modification of the Mk5. You know, some people prefer all the aero bits, some people like the standard body lines, and that's fine. But I do think that a little bit goes a very long way in the aero department and the aesthetic department when we start talking the front lips, lip spoilers, etc. For the fourth entry on this list, if I've talked about it once, I've talked about it 10,000 times, but it is the most simple modification and actually the very first mod I did to this car, but it made legitimately all the difference in the world, and that is these tiny little wind buffet things. If you have not researched the Mk5 at all, you will not know this. If you have watched a singular video on gripes of the Mk5, you will know that the wind buffet noise when the windows are down above like 25 mile an hour sounds like you are riding shotgun in a Huey in Vietnam. It is so bad, like to the point that it's unbearable, and I honestly cannot believe that the R&D department at Toyota did not see that as a huge problem. But once you put these tiny ass little pieces on, and you can get them cheap, like I cheaped out on mine just to see if I could get away with it, and I did. But it allows you to drive this car with the windows down and then, you know, cracked windows and whatever. And to some people, that might not be super important. But for me here in South Carolina, number one, I just enjoy driving with the windows down. I mean, they roll down for a reason, so you might as well use it. But it gets so damn hot here that being able to just drive around and like have this air escape the car and everything is so important, and you can't do that without these wind buffet things. It's wild. There's really no way for me to truly explain it outside of you just experiencing it, but I promise you, those tiny ass little pieces of, if I had to guess, fake carbon fiber will make you love this car a million times more than you would without them. Trust me, don't trust me, whatever. That is a must-do modification on this vehicle, in my humble opinion. Now, for the fourth and final entry on this list, this might surprise some people, but I'm honestly surprised how much of a difference this simple modification has done, and really improves the feel and the driving experience while sitting in the cockpit. And that is going to be these red carbon fiber paddle shifters. Now, if you've driven a Supra or you've been in kind of this era BMW, you know, from factory, they come with these stubby little gray things that just feel mushy and shitty, and they don't really give you a good tactile feel. And I feel like most people that have a Supra in automatic form opt to drive with the paddle shifters and not just letting the auto transmission do its thing. And once you switch over to these paddles, number one, they're larger. They give you more of an ability to shift while turning or in awkward hand positions or whatnot. But number two, just the audible click and the feel of shifting this car with the upgraded paddles, it's unlike anything I ever really experienced. You know, initially when I got these paddles, I expected it to be more or less an aesthetic mod. Like, I knew it would feel better, but I'm like, there's no way it could feel that much better. Turns out I was wrong, and these things just rock. Once again, they go a long way, both in the performance category as well as aesthetically. So if you're on the fence about getting some paddles, just go ahead, use this as your sign to go ahead and get them. And I promise you, you won't regret it, other than trying to take out the damn airbag to get to the screws. That part sucks, but I would argue it is very much worth the suck to get these paddle shifters in. So guys, that is going to do it for another episode of Gearbox. If I missed anything, please be vocal in the comments. I think those 4 entries are pretty damn solid, but I'm sure some of you other Mark V owners have had either similar or different experiences and maybe would add on to the list, not necessarily change anything that I've said, but add on to make your driving and ownership experience just that much better. But if you like this video, please give it a big fat thumbs up. Once again, if you have any other suggestions or maybe questions and you know, you're in the market and want to see if it's really worth it, drop them in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know the drill. Until next time, peace.